So, I'm probably sure some of you may have seen it, but again, I only see this stuff because there's a lot of stuff that seems to go viral these days, or semi-viral, and comes up in the feed or whatever. So, I saw one clip, and I'll see what I can fit in this video because of copyright and all that stuff. But then I saw the clips separately, so I only saw a little bit at a time. But Paul Thorpe and Richard Inman having this conversation, and I saw part of it, and they were going back and forth, and I saw the second part of it, but I think the second part might have actually been the first part in chronological order. Anyway, I've seen it now.
Exactly what they're saying. We know what Baudel's saying. We know what Carl Benjamin's saying. We know what Steve Laws is saying. You ask me a question, I'm telling you the truth about what I believe. So what do you believe, Paul? What do you think about ethno-nationalism?
Well, it depends on which way you look at it, Richard. I'm going to be honest with you. I do. No, what do you mean? Look, Richard.
And I'm not going to be a patsy and come on here and you say, oh, I'm neutral, Richard. I'm just asking the question because that sets me up for a fall. But I'm just being honest with you. That sets me up for a fall, right?
What,
that's the way it is.
Are you saying I'm trying to set you up?
No, I'm not saying that, Paul. I'm not saying that, but that's what it does, mate. Whether you're doing it... Well, in fact, I am saying that. You know exactly where this will go, Paul. That's all I'm going to say.
I'm going to say I don't think it's fair to lump Charlie and Connor into the same bracket as Steve Laws.
Why? Connor Thomas going, oh, I'm not an ethno-nad. I'm not an ethno-nad.
You knowing that, right? Connor, you know, let's be real. He's not here to defend
He can deny it all he wants, right? He can deny it all he wants. We know exactly the direction they're going in. They're playing very clever games with words, right? They're very bright boys, right? And they are boys. I know. I've watched hours and hours of their videos. I've analysed them. I've got the transcripts of them. I've run them through AI programs to get the transcripts. I know exactly what they're saying. This is just out and out bigotry. And it's dressed up in very flowery words. And they're very clever, Paul, because what they're doing is saying, we're defending the English. Well, I'm an Englishman. I'm a white Englishman. I don't need Connor Tomlinson, little boys like Connor Tomlinson and Charlie Downs defending me. Ethno-nationalism is exalting one race above another.
Well, then, no, I don't believe in that.
Well, if you examine exactly what Connor Tomlinson and Charlie Downs are saying, that's exactly what they are saying.
I have to say, I always said I would speak the truth and be honest no matter what, no matter who it is. And I watched this part of the video with Paul Thorpe and Richard Inman, and Paul Thorpe was the only adult in the room. Paul Thorpe was probably, I'm just gonna give credit, which people won't understand me doing this, but this is who I am. I'll give credit where due. He was trying to have an open civil discussion about all this race stuff, and he was trying to express his understanding, which I think, from what I could gather, Paul's understanding of the actual racial landscape seems to be much more realistic than Richard's, who sees racists at every corner because he doesn't understand one word. It's all about one word that's triggering him. You can see it in the videos, and again, he's not a bad guy. But you're seeing part of the problem here that we've been talking about for ages, and that is the split is not infighting on the right. It is a centrist split. And right there, between those people, I mean, Richard actually called out Paul for trying to set him up for a fall with the questions he was asking him. Now, I mean, they've been broadcasting together for the last year and a half. So there's no way I can imagine Paul doing that after all this time. I was amazed to see Richard being so defensive with a guy that he has literally been on, for whatever I might say, they've been loyal to each other. Yeah. So it was a surprise to see him being that defensive with his own sort of partner, co-partner, I mean, for a podcast I'm talking about. And then refusing to answer certain questions because they were inconvenient, whilst trying to lecture Paul on stuff that Paul seemed to have a better grasp on, and almost trying to bully Paul out of having an opinion, although Paul held his ground well. And I found myself in Paul's corner. Because Paul was trying to have an open, honest discussion. Richard was just trying to shut down certain words, and just take everything for granted. Sorry, everything as a given. This is racist, that's a given. That person's racist, that's a given. And the way he was being was kind of petty and pot-shotting. Whereas Paul was being thoughtful, measured, and was trying to actually take the argument on board and think about it. I've got to give credit where it's due. Paul wasn't ready to just rubbish half of his country for the sake of being triggered over one word that he doesn't fully understand. So, but the problem is at the center. And you can see it between those two there. That moment of spark there is we've got down to the roots of the problem. It's a split in the center between what they believe. Some want to keep on with the multiculturalism and not call it that. And some want, to join with the right. And you've got that split right there. And that's where the problem is. The right is unified. The right is unifying behind Rupert Lowe, generally speaking, and others. So they've already picked their poison in most cases. Even the UKIP voters, whatever else, they've all picked their poison. They've all picked right-wing parties, is my point. People on the right. But, I have to give credit to Paul Thorpe for trying to seriously have a sensible conversation about this subject. Not let the emotion get in the way, not let preconception get in the way, and not let somebody else's narrative get in the way. He just wanted to talk about it, openly, as someone in his position is dutiful to do. He actually was trying to fulfill that duty. I'm not going to take that away from him. He did. He tried to fulfill that duty. Unfortunately, his co-partner seemed intent on trying to destroy that at all costs. Now, again, I haven't seen the whole show. I'm going to, or at least enough of it, because I want to see whether Paul managed to pull it on track or not, because he was trying to pull it on track. So I've got to say, for all the things I've said, I was impressed with him trying to have a really open conversation about it, and disappointed to see that he's prepared to have a conversation like that, and somebody else that he should be able to trust is shutting it down and accusing him of things, which was exactly the problem. You see, even between two people that work with each other and should trust each other, the moment this subject's brought up, one of them is kind of accusing the other one of things straight away. It's not a good mindset. It's not a healthy way of being with your fellow man. If you're constantly looking for a monster under the bed, it's an unhealthy way to live. But two, eventually you're going to find one, and it's gonna attach to your confirmation bias, and then you're going to be seeing things everywhere, So it's not a good way to be. So yeah.